sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward sports merch today.
Good morning, Woodward Sports, and welcome back for another episode of Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me, as always, Matt Broder and Terry Foster. How are you gentlemen doing this morning?
It's too early to know how you're feeling.
The morning is just starting.
Still pretty dark out there.
We haven't gotten into it yet. It's just darker and darker in the mornings when you wake up, but it's making it harder and harder to be here for a 7 a.m. start.
It is. But we're here, and the Lions' victory makes it that much sweeter.
Exactly. We said that on Sunday, that it'd be much nicer to come in today and have a victory to talk about, because the Lions went down to Tampa Bay and came home with a 20-6 victory. How about that? They produced 20 or more points in their last 15 straight games. That is the longest streak for them in the NFL and the longest streak for them in their franchise. And the game ended with the broadcaster crew sharing that this is the Lions' best 16-game stretch in 6 decades. I think those are numbers that Lions fans can get on board with, and I'm hoping everyone else can as well. I mean, what a game. If you could give this team one word to describe them and this win, what would that be?
To describe the team, I'd give them the word resilience. It might not specifically speak to this game against the Buccaneers, but that's what their season's been like. They're always coming back. Whenever they hit adversity, whenever something goes wrong, they manage to come back. They manage to fight back and make a good play the next drive, make a touchdown after Jared Goff throws an interception.
Yeah.
Things keep happening. Players go down, they get hurt, and then other guys are stepping up. So I call it resilience. What about you, Terry?
I'm going to cheat like Gabby does on every show, and I'm going to use 2 words: workmanlike.
Ooh.
Okay.
It wasn't spectacular, it wasn't pretty. They just took care of business, smacked Tampa across the face, and went home.
I mean, workman-like almost sounds like 3, but I know workman is a compound word, so you're kind of really
Not
cheating.
if you bundle it.
We'll just put a dash in there, and
That's
it'll all
right.
count as one word, right?
It's one
I'm not
word
going to
then.
cheat on the show today. We have a fun segment coming up, and we're giving our
are,
game
but-
balls again, and I'm not going to cheat.
You will, but go ahead, talk that mess.
I'm going to prove it to you.
Talk that
I'm
mess.
going to prove it to you, Terry.
Okay.
We are going to review our pessimistic and optimistic that we gave out before Sunday's game. So I want to highlight a pessimistic that Matt brought up, and that is Tampa Bay's strong linebackers.
Oh, yeah.
And secondary. Still looking as strong after that game?
Yeah. I mean, the Lions look better, but that linebacker crew, they were tough. I mean, Levante David was all over Sam Laporta all day. He was causing a ruckus in the backfield, too. Devin White also. Shaq Barrett. I thought they played well. The Lions just made the plays when they needed to. They just chipped away at that game. They controlled the ball, controlled the time of possession. When they needed a big catch from Amon-Ra St. Brown or from J-Mo or from Josh Reynolds or Marvin Jones, they got it. So I don't think it was as much the lack of good play from the linebackers of the Buccaneers. The Lions just were able to make the right plays at the right time.
Yeah, sometimes you're better than good. I thought David played Laporta perfect. I mean, Sam Laporta looked human
Yeah.
for once. But still, they made enough plays on 3rd down to turn this game around. Hey, that was a rhyme. They did the job on 3rd down to turn the game around.
T-Foss, you're cooking this morning. You look
Damn.
sharp, too.
Yeah, I'm not even up yet, so wait until I get up.
Wait until the second half of the show,
That's
and
right.
then things are really going to be cooking. Actually, like 8:50 or 7:50. Wow. I'm clearly not up either. 7:50 is when I feel like we're like, okay, we can keep going.
And then it's dark.
And then it's done. Every time. One more pessimistic that I want to get into was mine, actually, because I said that the Lions were on the road, and that was a reason to be pessimistic. But honestly, by the end of the game, didn't feel like a road game, didn't look like a road game out there, because there was so much Honolulu blue within all of that creamsicle. I mean, this was a big deal for Tampa Bay pulling out these uniforms, and you saw their fan base get into it. But then you saw in that crowd, even in the beginning, those wide shots, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Look at all of the blue. The Lions fans are showing out time and time again on the road.
Terry, have you ever seen anything like that? Like, I know we talked about it for the Green Bay game, how well they traveled to Lambeau, but this seemed like they even kicked it up another notch.
Yeah, they did. You know, it was Florida, and people want some warm weather. But once again, I'm going to go back to what I've always said. Have I ever seen this before? Never. Never seen this before. Now, I've seen them go to Tampa. Mm-hmm. I've seen them go on the road, but not like this.
There was no fruit throwing at the players this time.
No, fruit and vegetables. Because last time I went there, man, they threw fruit and vegetables at these dudes because they were pissed. Now they threw bouquets of love at the Lions because of what they did.
And then had to go home and put ice on their hands because Brad Holmes was out there pumping everyone up, giving high fives, and almost taking fans out.
Yeah,
once again.
You know how ridiculous this has gotten? My wife, who doesn't really pay attention to the Lions, she said, you know what we should do? I said, what? She said, don't the Lions have a game in New Orleans? I said, yeah, they do. So we should go to that.
Wow. Little road trip.
And I was the one who said, well, I don't know if I want to do that.
Why not?
I don't know.
Bourbon Street somewhere where you prefer to go alone?
No, I'll share it with her. I won't have as much fun with her there as on Bourbon Street, but if she wants to come along, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All right, now getting to the positive, because we all did say that the Lions were going to win this game. None of us got the score correct, but the optimistic that both Matt and Terry gave was the Lions defense. And Matt, you even said that the Lions defense was going to have their best game yet.
I did say that.
I mean, I think you were correct in that.
Yeah, they did. They played great. Holding the Buccaneers to 6 points, less than 50 yards rushing. You know, just to win another game by double-digit touchdowns, by double-digit points. It's pretty incredible that the whole defense really did step up. Guys at each level play a good game and really kept them in check. They forced Baker to beat them, and Baker didn't play his best game. They made it difficult on him, even without getting him to the ground, getting those sacks. It was a pretty special day for Aaron Glenn's defense.
You know what you're not hearing this week?
What?
That Baker Mayfield is back. You know, he's good. We don't hear that this week, do we?
No, and you
we
called
don't.
that. You thought Baker was going to have his worst game. You thought the Lions were going to really get to Baker, make it difficult.
Yeah, they
Make
didn't
him look
sack
mortal.
him, but he was like, oh, my God, these guys are nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he didn't have time to set up. He didn't have time to run. He didn't have time to make spontaneous plays. He was under harassment all game, even though they didn't sack him. Sometimes it's not
pressure.
about the sack.
Right.
Next up, we are going to get into a little game right now because we were trying to think, yes, the Lions are winning, but we're trying to make it fair, make it even, think of things on both sides, pessimistic and optimistic. But it's been a little bit hard thinking of what to give for the yeah, but. So I put out on social media yesterday a little question to the people to say, what is your yeah, but? And I want to hear from you guys what that yeah, but is too. But let's get into it. Matt, what's your yeah, but for the Lions right now?
Yeah, well, I think the Lions are playing very well. They're clicking on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, but they keep coming up with these injuries. David Montgomery's out. Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch have been out. Are they going to come back? Are they going to play this week versus the Baltimore Ravens? There are still a lot of question marks on the injury standpoint. Do they have the depth now getting to this second level of players? Do they have the depth to keep this going? We'll see.
Terry, what is your yeah, but?
My yeah, but is why are the Lions fielding punts inside their 5-yard line? It doesn't make sense to me. Let the ball go into the end zone. Because I don't like people fielding punts because only most of the time, even if you get the ball past the 25-yard line, there's a yellow flag, somebody holds or blocks somebody in the back or something. Just let the ball go in the end zone. Take it to 25 and let's move on.
Move on.
That's my yeah, but. Why?
Well, I guess I kind of did cheat because instead of me giving a yeah but, I took to Twitter to see what their yeah but was. So let's take a look on our fancy new back wall, ding, and see some of the responses that we got from Woodward Sports Twitter. I'm going to point out my favorite response from Dave Schultz. He said, being alive and a fan for a greater majority of the Ford ownership, I am still not 100% convinced that this is real. I know what I see. I'm happy about all of it, but there's a small part of me waiting for it to all blow up.
Oh, boy.
All right, can I address that?
Yes.
Even if I say it's real, then it's got to be real. Because I've been told over and over, oh, it's real this time, T. It's real this time. I said, no, it's not. I believe it's real for the first time. Ever. So it's real.
You got to believe it. I mean, even in that game, in those moments where I'm like, are the Bucs going to turn it around? Are the Bucs going to turn it around? They never did. So you have to realize that this is the time. This is the time to be excited about the Lions. And another one that I'm hearing a lot of is the injuries.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and we've talked about this, they're going to happen in the NFL. Yeah, the Lions are winning, but can they stay healthy? Look, the Lions aren't healthy right now, and they're still winning. So I don't even think that's a yeah but anymore.
No, well, you're always going to say it's a yeah but because you don't believe that this can be sustained if the injuries keep piling up. But then this is what Brad Holmes is all about. His job was to build a team. His job was to get some starters. Then his job was to build depth, and that's what he's done. And when you look at him, what he's done is he's built units. He built an offensive line. He built a defensive line. He built a secondary, and then he's got people in the background who have been starters before coming in. So I'm gonna give all the praise to Brad Holmes to this.
So they got injuries, but Brad Holmes is your GM, and he's built this team.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a positive yeah but in there. It's not always negative.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the responses.
100%. Yeah, although they're facing injuries, but they have the easiest schedule in the NFL coming up, or one of the two easiest schedules. So there are things that are pointing the Lions' directions. The fact that we have to pull teeth to find something, that does say something. The team is strong. They don't have a lot of holes.
Yeah, so I don't buy that easiest schedule thing.
How come?
Because teams change through the course of the year. A lot of times the easiest schedule is based on 2 or 3 percentage points. To me, that's nothing. And this is a league where if you come in with your head up your ass, you will lose to anybody. I don't care who you are.
I mean, we saw that this last week, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show, the teams that are 5-1. But up next, we have to give out our game balls for this past game, the Lions versus the Bucs. Stick with us, and we'll be right back. This is Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street on Woodward Sports Network, brought to you by Les Stanford. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster here with me to recap the Lions versus Bucs this past Sunday down in Tampa Bay. The Lions coming home with a win, and we are coming home to give out our game balls because we have to talk about our favorite players from this previous game. We're going to get right into it. Matt, do you want to kick things off?
I do. I want to kick it off on the defensive end. And he's a linebacker that we've talked about a couple weeks here, one of Terry's favorite guys.
Oh, you mean the guy that can't play?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
That guy who people keep saying can't play. He keeps showing up. Alex Anzalone. He's the middle linebacker. He's the captain of this defense, and he's playing great. And he was playing great on Sunday. I think he had 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defended. He really was a difference maker, both from an on-field perspective, just the way he was playing the game, also his energy, his leadership. He's exactly the perfect linebacker for this team, and it showed up. He played well at all levels of that defense again yesterday. Pass rush, run defense, pass coverage. Anzalone's my guy. He was all over the place.
And what's the one thing people say he cannot do? He cannot cover running backs or tight ends. Doggone, he sure did against Tampa.
He did a fantastic job of that.
He's right there.
Terry, who is your game ball for this week? And no, it cannot be Brian Branch.
Well, it's Brian Branch. No, he didn't play, right? Oh, okay.
Apparently.
I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Ooh.
And I thought he was the safety valve for Jared Goff the whole game, who played terrific. He was that guy that wasn't going to drop passes. He caught some passes in some very tight windows and got blasted and hung on to the ball. I don't think he dropped anything. And I had to give it to him because did you hear his interview before the game? It was not in English. He did an interview in German.
That's awesome.
And I'm saying, if my man's speaking German, he's got to get a game ball.
Heck yeah. He's spoken really highly of, the fans in Germany, and especially with this game coming up again in Germany. And we already know his kind of, I don't think he would go there, but I think he was definitely disappointed that the Lions were not going over there. And I think it's a missed opportunity for the NFL not to have him and his brother go head to head in Germany.
True.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, the Lions will take it, though, because this is going to eat up one of their home games here at Ford Field this season. So I believe that they'll be still in the running next year, but it will be one of the away games that they get to play in Germany or wherever it is overseas. So we'll see how it plays out.
So even better.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump to my game ball. I'm not cheating, I swear. But my game ball is going to go to Jared Goff. Completed 30 of 44 passes for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jared Goff has overcome a lot of noise going into this season with him not being a favorite quarterback for anyone, and we talked about that with his chip on his shoulder last week. I think the only time that he was at the top of anyone's list was when he was drafted first overall. But internally, you've never seen him sweat. He keeps so calm, cool, and collected and his head level and keeps leading this team. And we saw that shine in the preseason of how highly he spoke to this team and how highly he spoke to his relationships that he's been developing with these players in the offseason. And you saw that pay off in this game. Throw after throw to St. Brown, to Williams, to Laporta, to Raymond. He was going all over the field like we talked about, spreading the love. And for all those reasons, I'm going to agree with Dan Campbell that he is a top player in this game. You really saw him go above and beyond for this team, and I think he deserves his flowers now.
He does. But you know what? I think there's 2 reasons why he's doing very well. One, he has a coaching staff who believes in him.
They do.
And he's not having to deal with Sean McVay and all those who say, man, dude, basically you're a scrub. Dan Campbell believes in him, even though he doesn't have a nickname for him, but that's okay. But that's important. Also, he's got a running game. The Lions quarterback, Matthew Stafford, never had a running game here. Jared Goff, he's like, okay, I don't need to pass all the time. I can just hand it off to Montgomery or whoever's back there. And that's very, very, very important. He's not put in a position where he's going to get sacked a lot. He's got a very good offensive line. So he's insulated. But within that, he's still playing well. You still have to play well at quarterback because that's the toughest position in sports. I think we all know that.
Without a doubt. And what was special about this game, I believe, is part of the reason why both Gabrielle Dee Phillips and Dan Campbell gave him the game ball. This is a game where they didn't have the running game. David Montgomery went out with injury. They had to rely on some third and fourth strings, Craig Reynolds, Divino Zigbo. And so they said, basically, Jared Goff, this is your game. Go win it. And he said, hold my beer. I got you. He actually came through. And this was a Jared Goff game. And he was able to use the pass game almost like a running game in terms of controlling the clock, in terms of being able to just move the ball and pound it down the Buccaneers' throats, even with the pressure he was getting in the pass game. It was a special game for Jared Goff.
He didn't have David Montgomery, and it's not that they planned for him not to have David Montgomery.
Right.
He had to make that pivot on his toes during the game. So let's take a look at all of the game balls for Woodward and Maine this week. I mean,
killing it.
I love it.
Now, since Gabby always cheats, who's your second game ball going to?
I bet you she's going to say Jack Fox.
If I'm going to go with the trend of going with what Dan Campbell said, I'd have to go with Jack Fox.
Because he did get a game ball for real.
Yes. And deservedly so. Even though I did laugh at the beginning of Dan Campbell's speech and him being like, I know the defense is going to be mad at me for this one, but you guys all deserved the ball. So, I mean, there's so many options.
He could have.
And that's the greatest thing. It's not one player carrying this team. We purposefully did not double up because there could have been room for area for us to double up. But I think we all would have had multiple options for who to give this game ball to, because the Lions are performing all across the board and all through their depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be rude or contrarian, but there's only one person on here who doubles up here, and that's Gabrielle Dee Phillips.
You forced me to. You forced me to this time.
You get a game ball. You get a game ball.
You're like, Gabby, but what would your second be? And I just answered the question.
Okay, all right.
Well, that is all for our game balls. Let's hear it in the chat who you would give your game ball to. I'm seeing Craig Reynolds in here, and we're going to have to get into his block in this next segment.
Ooh.
Let's see
what
else.
Sean Cole Jr. says Julian Okwara. Wasn't out there a ton, but made some really good plays, including, I think it was the lone sack of the game. It was a big one late in the third or fourth quarter.
That's great.
Defense game ball, first down, St. Brown. Russell Scott says, it seems there are a handful of players who could have gone to that defense. You could have given it to everybody.
Oh, yeah. But
now, he doesn't
only
deserve
a
a game ball, but who blocked the first pass attempt in the game?
Bugs.
Big Bugs.
Big Bugs.
Right.
That was big. That was huge.
It was. So, once again, why did this guy not play at the beginning of the season? I'm just saying.
We're undefeated with him in the game. Never lost.
True. All right.
I think I called that one.
You did. We're going to get into a couple more of those big hits and big catches that happened in the game against the Bucs this previous weekend. Stick with us here in this next segment. This is Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder.
Good morning and welcome back. You are on Woodward Sports, watching Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me this morning, Matt Broder and Terry Foster, as always. And thank you to JB and Kool-Aid for making this show happen in the booths. We couldn't do this without them. But we have a lot to get through this morning because coming off of a Lions win, there's always plenty to talk about. And there's plenty of big hits and big catches to cover from this past game. So I'm going to start off with what was your hit of the game and why was it Craig Reynolds blocking for Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdown?
That's the end of the game right there.
No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah, I mean, he came out of nowhere. I didn't know anybody could run that fast. You know what it looked like? You ever see those black and white films back in the day where they speed it up and the police go real fast and the truck. That's what he looked like. He just came out of nowhere like a flash.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, Craig Reynolds looked like a ghost. And then just blasted my man, and then Ermanni tiptoed down the sideline, and he was good.
He took 2 players out with that one block. He was able to come up and get the one, and it knocked Antoine Winfield Jr. out. Able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown around that sideline. It was nice.
So good. He did not even hesitate with that hit. Ran right through him. And if he is not on Good Morning Football's Angry Runs this week, I am going to boycott because he deserves that scepter this week, no doubt. The way he just ran through him. It was like he wasn't even phased. Ran right through a brick wall and just kept on going.
It was special. It was special. And I take it back to the week before when Jamison Williams was out there. And I know people were talking all about Jamison Williams. He's got to catch the ball to make a difference. I don't care about how much he's blocking. But when running backs out there see wide receivers, see young guys like that blocking downfield, giving that extra effort when the running backs are having the ball. David Montgomery was able to sneak away for that touchdown because of a Jamison Williams block. That all comes back to help out the wide receivers. Craig Reynolds, he sees Amon-Ra St. Brown catch that. It was a 3rd and 13, catches it over the middle or sort of near the left hash. He's got some work to do to get that first down. Craig Reynolds never gave up on that play. Was able to spring him free for that touchdown. It was special. It's great to see Craig do that.
Because of a play like that, that's my boy now forever.
Craig?
Right. So it's like that's my guy now. Because he did that for me. So at some point, we're going to be on this show talking about, did you see the hit Amon-Ra St. Brown laid on somebody? Man, he laid him out, pancaked the brother.
That's what's special about this team. And you saw Amon-Ra say that right after the game. Right after the play, he ran up to Craig Reynolds, gave him a big hug on the sideline.
That clip of them hugging and the smiles on their faces, that's why everyone loves the Lions.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Now, I also want to get into a little bit of Will Harris because he came in with 4 tackles, 2 solo,
Big Willie
1
style.
pass defense, and an interception. His performance, after that fumble recovery in week 5, it's like it was the match that lit him on fire, and I think we're going to see that continue throughout the season. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. He didn't play a perfect game, but he made big plays when he needed to. He was out there in the right position when Isaiah Bugs tipped that ball, and he was there for the interception. He's still got some coverage skills to improve, but Will Harris, he's a guy that not only the coaching staff trusts, but that secondary, those guys on the defense, like Alex Anzalone, they trust him. It was great to see, and Jerry Jacobs, too. I know we were just talking about Craig Reynolds' block, but Jerry Jacobs, to me, that tackle that he made, it was a second down. It was a second down in the fourth quarter. I forget when it was, but he snuck around his wide receiver, Raheem Jarrett, and made a big tackle in the backfield on a pass out to the flats to force a 3rd and long. That was a big play early in the game that Jerry Jacobs made, a really good hit. But you're right, Will Harris, he's finding himself in the right positions nowadays.
You know what else is happening with this team? They're rolling out dudes I never even heard of, and they're playing like borderline all-pro players. They're making plays. They might be on the field for like 3 plays.
Yeah.
They make 2 dramatic plays. And that's a team that is Isaiah Thomas used to say this, you're like on a yard, a ball of string. Everything is just flowing at the right time, and it's unraveling and raveling at the same time.
Interesting.
That you're on the same page.
It does
that
feel
doesn't
like
happen
that.
like that. Like, for instance, NFL, wide receivers don't like to block. I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
I might hurt myself. I'm here to catch the ball. But the line players, man, the wide receivers, tackles, ball boys, everybody blocking out there.
Mm-hmm.
No block, no rock, they say.
Mm-hmm. No, they're not blocking. They're smashing.
Yeah.
We got to come up with a new name for blocks for the Lions. It's not even a conventional block. They're sending people on their asses and say, get out of my face.
That's true. I know we're going to do some team comparisons here coming up, but that's part of what makes this team special. They're physical, not just up front, not just the big boys in the middle, but the skilled position players. They're physical too. This team is tough, and you can see it at every point of the game. It's fun to watch. It's why there's a lot of hype around this team, or I shouldn't say hype. A lot of fans rallying around this team because they see how hard they work, how tough they are. It's special. It's good. It's been a special season so far.
We've been talking about the hits, but we have to get to some of the catches here and what we believe was the catch of the game. And we have a couple options here. But I'm going to go with Jameson Williams' reception, because while Amon-Ra St. Brown's was very important and very exciting to watch and seeing the team camaraderie, I think this was the time that it had to happen for J-Mo, and it did. And I'm very, very happy to see it pay off for him in this game. Now, can you trust J-Mo after that catch? Does this build your trust in him?
Yeah, it was a great catch too. I mean, that was a difficult situation to catch the ball. He had to change his eyesight a few times. He got twisted around a little bit and then made it with contact. It was very contested. It was an unconventional play, but it was great. And I think something like that has the potential to really turn things around, or even if things weren't turned around for Jameson Williams, really catapult him forward. Let him use this as momentum, as something that the team can rally around, because you can see they all love him. They all want to play hard for him. Now seeing him have success after dropping a couple balls in the last 2 games, they're continuing to go back to him, trying to build up that trust, that relationship. And there's not much better than when you see Jameson Williams smile after he does something good. He's an energetic, electric player. He's fun.
Yeah, maybe this is just his game. Maybe his game is just to run a fly pattern 2 or 3 times a game, and you go to him once or twice and see if he can catch it. These comeback patterns I don't like. And obviously he doesn't like either. Going over the middle, he doesn't like doing that. I mean, he's dropped a couple passes where he's heard footsteps. But maybe what you do is you limit Jameson Williams. He's not going to be the guy that's going to catch 8 balls for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Maybe he's the guy, at least for this season, that catches 2 balls for 70 yards and maybe 1 touchdown. Maybe he's a specialty or gimmick player right now. I don't think they totally trust him, because to totally trust him, you would send him on out patterns, you send him over the middle. You would be confident that he would catch some balls in traffic and be able to block, not block, but to break tackles and then move on like that. Maybe that's not his game, at least for right now. But you just let him roll a couple times a game and see if you can get something big.
I like this mention from Happy Camper Harry in the chat that this catch happened a week before he was even set to come back. He wasn't supposed to be playing in this game.
True.
So he's just adding to the overall. But is that enough, do you think, to stop the outside noise from this bust talk that comes along with the discussion of J-Mo?
I sure hope so. I mean, he's still a young kid. Like Terry said, this might be what he is now. He might just be more of a gimmicky threat, a 2-3, catch guy, but he has the potential to break one for 40, 50, 70 yards. I still just think he's developing. I think he's going to earn more targets, more catches over time. He may never be a 10-catch guy or a 10, 12 target guy per game, but if he gets 5, 6, 7, and he has 1 or 2 that's an explosive play, he could end up with 3, 4 catches for 75, 80, 100 yards. Yeah, that just could be him for now.
Here's how our society works. What have you done for me lately? Will this stop the bus talk? No. But it can if he does the same thing against Baltimore, if he does the same thing against Green Bay later or Chicago. So it's a continuation. I don't think there's total trust in J-Mo right now. Yes, he's had 2 catches for touchdowns, and they're both spectacular plays, but people want to see more. They want to see consistency. They want to see you do it through the course of the year. They want to see him win a ball game at some point.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't win the game against Tampa, but he sure did clinch it.
That was a big play. That was the one where the energy completely shifted. It was like, all right, the Lions are in control of this game. Think good things are happening.
Now, I know we already talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdown in the block from Craig Reynolds, but if you had to choose, what were you more impressed by? The block in that play or the catch?
You know what? I was most impressed with the tiptoe. And that's Amon tiptoeing down the sideline, because I thought he was going to step out of bounds.
It did look like it.
Yeah, But he got the block, he got the catch, and then he turned into Twinkle Toes.
Jumped and made it over the pylon.
Right. And I'm like, damn, that's magic. He looked like Twinkle Toes, man, doing this little thing on the sideline. I said, there's no way he's staying in bounds. And then even after they called the touchdown, I said, well, they're going to say he stepped out of bounds at the 8 or something stupid like that. But then when you look at the replay, he didn't do that.
Well, yeah.
It's perfect.
Impressive. I got to go with the block, though. I mean, that block was special. It'll be one of the best of the year, I think.
And I think this is what comes with being as great as Amon-Ra St. Brown is that people expect that from him now. Like, that kind of technique, that kind of specificity and where his feet are being placed and how he's catching the ball and how he's running down the sideline. Like, people are expecting that from him now, and that is because he has proved that he is great at what he does. And now this is an opportunity for Craig Reynolds to stand out and say, hey, this is what I do too.
Yeah.
Well, pay attention to me over here. I can name some of the players that were drafted ahead of me too.
That's right, Gabby. That's right. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, real quick, his awareness on that play to know he's 5, 6, 7 yards short of the first down, and he could feel Craig Reynolds, his awareness on that field. He could feel him coming. They made eye contact or something. He was able to readjust his route and get to that tiptoe. So Amon-Ra does deserve a ton of credit, but, man, that block was special. Special.
Right. When he caught the ball, he said he wasn't planning on scoring, but after he took a couple strides, he's like, I'm scoring this touchdown now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw it, and Craig Reynolds said, okay, boom. Yes, you are.
And because of that touchdown and several others that happened down in Tampa Bay this weekend, the Lions are 5-1, ranked amongst the top teams of the NFL. We're going to get into that in the next segment. Stick with us here. This is Woodward at Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
With money on the line. Featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford. We're so excited to have you here with us this morning, and we're even more excited to talk about the Lions' 5-1 record, because this now makes them ranked top amongst 4 other teams in the NFL. Let's take a look at the 5 teams remaining in the NFL that are 5-1. The 49ers, who took an L on Sunday, the Dolphins, the Eagles, who lost to the Jets on Sunday, and Kansas City. And we all know who Kansas City lost to. I think we're going to learn a lot about the other teams on this board in the coming weeks. But look at that. The Lions up there with San Francisco, Miami, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. I know we had a lot of hype for the Lions at the beginning of the season, but I think this proves that all of that hype was not just fans sipping the Kool-Aid. That was legit, reason-based, fact-based support, and that they deserve to be up here on this board with these other teams. Would you two agree?
I'm going to say the Lions are the #2 team in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, Terry.
Say it.
The Philadelphia Eagles haven't looked right all season.
Yeah.
Who beat Kansas City?
That would be the Detroit Lions.
Detroit Lions, yes, if I do recall. San Francisco, I'm going to make them the #1 team. Christian McCaffrey. That man is having an MVP season. He's a bull.
Yeah.
He could be the MVP.
But hopefully he stays healthy because he went out this week with that oblique injury.
When he got hurt, that's when Cleveland was like, okay, we got a shot. And something's going on in the NFL. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers are fighting before a game.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? There's a bunch of teams fighting before games. I don't get that.
Deebo Samuel's just trying to cause some trouble. He's trying to all the way from San Francisco to Detroit. He's causing mischief.
I want to look back up at this board and look ahead at kind of what are those weeks to come, because we did discuss at the beginning of the show kind of what the Lions' schedule looks like coming up. But looking at the teams on this board and some of their upcoming games, the Eagles and the Dolphins will be playing each other this week. So I think we're going to get a better idea of what those two look like up against each other, because we already got the Lions playing the Chiefs, so we know how they stack up against each other. And then week 9, the Chiefs will play the Dolphins in Germany, that Germany game that we had spoken of earlier. And then finally, week 13, the Niners and the Eagles will face off. So we're going to get a better idea of how these teams are looking like. And as, you know, they play the Chiefs, we're going to see how do they stack up against the Chiefs? How do the Lions stack up against the Chiefs? How can we compare these teams for the rest of the season, and what that potentially, I mean, not to get ahead of myself, but what that potentially looks like in the postseason.
I like how both of y'all just kind of punked out.
I was waiting for it to be semi-direction.
If you had to rank the Lions right now in the NFL, where would you rank them?
I'm putting them. It's either second or third. I'm deciding if I trust Kansas City more. But the Lions beat Kansas City in Week 1. I'd argue that Lions loss is Kansas City losing to the Lions is the best loss in this group.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Lions are real. They have a smart, young quarterback who plays within himself. They have a young, innovative play caller. They have a beastly offensive line. Like, things are going the right. They have diverse skill position players. Like, they have all the makings of a 49ers type team. I can't put them ahead of the 49ers.
You know, I love you, Matthew, but be a man.
Pick.
All right, I'm putting them second. I'm putting them second.
Okay.
They're playing. They deserve it. I want to let the Eagles up there. I want to let the Chiefs, but the Lions, they're playing the best, arguably, of any team on this list. I'm just not ready to put them ahead of the 49ers.
I'm not putting them ahead of the Eagles. I'm not putting them ahead of the Chiefs. I'm putting them ahead of the Eagles. I'm putting them ahead of the Chiefs. And
Dolphins.
I'm more worried about the Dolphins than I am of the 49ers, especially if Christian McCaffrey is going to be injured. And if it's an oblique injury, we kind of saw what that was like with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't know severity, but he went in and he came back out. And if they don't have Christian McCaffrey, I'm putting the Lions ahead of the 49ers.
Wow. So it might be Dolphins number 1?
Dolphins number 1, Lions number 2, Niners 3.
You
Kansas
can't have
City
the Lions
4 and
any
Eagles
lower
5.
than 3.
Yeah.
Because what we say about the Eagles and Kansas City, they don't quite look right. There's something wrong there.
That defense.
Right. So, but the Lions, they're not beating people. They're kicking their asses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look up there. Okay, Seattle, they lost. Everybody's lost. But then 20-6 against the Falcons, 20-6 against the Bucks, 18-point victory against Carolina, 14-point win against the Packers. Yeah. This is a league where half the games, 1 score or less. Or it can't be less, but 1 score. Every game is 1 score.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games are decided by 3 points.
And what are the Lions
14
doing?
points is a blowout.
Not so much.
Yeah. And they keep doing it. Every game they keep doing it.
Consistently. I think we talked about it before, but I think that game against the Seahawks was a blip. That was a bad game, let's shake it off. But I think it was necessary for them to continue to come out and roll out against these other teams. But you want to know the reason why I really think the Lions are up aside these other teams?
Why?
We alluded to it earlier. The fans. The fans have traveled. They've showed up and showed out. Even after that loss to the Seahawks, the energy didn't drop. They still traveled. They still showed up to that next home game excited. The Bucs were coming off of a bye week wearing their creamsicle jerseys, and the Lions completely overtook Raymond James by tenfold at the end of that game.
But
I absolutely love this fan base, and I think that they deserve
do
it.
you know what Tampa's record is in the creamsicle uniforms?
Very, very, very bad.
They're 1-5.
Are you retiring
Not to
them?
mention that when they brought the
Burn them.
jerseys back originally, they went for a complete losing streak.
Yeah. You're burning them, Terry, if you're
Burning
the
them.
Bucks?
I hate them anyway.
You don't like them?
No, I hate them.
All right.
I like the new uniforms a lot better. I like the new guy better. I like the colors better.
Do you like other vintage uniforms on other teams, or just this is not your style?
This one's not my style.
All right.
There's two uniforms I can't stand. I can't stand the creamsicles of Tampa Bay, and I hate the Pistons teal.
Really?
Bad memories it brings up, huh?
Bold opinions over here, Terry Foster, to start this morning.
That's what I do.
We should all expect it at this point.
I don't hide it.
It's been quite a week recapping this game, and I know we have a 1 p.m. game coming up on the road this next week that we're going to get into. We'll be getting into that later in this week. I know we talked about our game balls. We talked
They play
about
1 o'clock games on Sunday in the NFL
knew?
anymore? I didn't know they did that anymore.
Who knew?
Maybe they'll get flexed.
Right.
But I mean, they do have their Monday game coming up. Their
True.
Monday night football game that is on the horizon. We're not just jumping ahead through this next game to think about that game, but there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon for this Lions team, and I'm so excited that we get to cover it.
I know. It's special. This is a tough stretch coming up, but this season's been fun.
I thought you
and-
said earlier that this was an easy stretch of games.
No, it's an easy schedule, but this stretch, we got the Ravens, the Raiders, bye week, and then the Chargers. If they can come out of this 2-1, 3-0, who knows what the final record of this season could be like? They're aiming for that number 1 seed in the NFC. You know they want
yeah.
that Ford Field home field advantage.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I do have a problem, though.
What?
Yes, sir.
What?
I have to make sure the Monday night game is at home.
It is.
Yeah, I can't get drunk before the game. That's my only problem.
You got to wait all day. 8:15 start. 8:15 kick. They're celebrating Lomas Brown that night, too. He's getting inducted into the Pride of the Lions. They're wearing their alternate helmets.
And he deserves that.
He does.
I make
100%.
fun of Lomas, but he was a very good player. And I actually talked to some of the young offensive linemen about Lomas. Lomas used to punch you. He had those long arms.
Yeah.
And best left tackle in Lions history, although people say Lou Crankmeyer, whatever his name is the best left tackle. He only weighed like 170 pounds. There's no way he was as good as Lomas.
Well, now
Lomas
they
is
don't
great.
have to worry about Lomas punching him. They have to worry about Brad Holmes coming around and smacking them and grabbing their arm like we saw. I think that was in that Jared Goff interview where he came around and grabbed like the side of his arm, and they're like, "Be careful, be careful. That's his dominant arm there. You need to make sure that shoulder's okay. Don't
Yeah,
go
Brad
pushing
Holmes
him
is a
around."
madman. I wish he was 23 years old and was out there playing.
He's a mad scientist, that's for sure.
He's just mad. He's just crazy.
Well, we're going to be crazy about the Lions taking on the Ravens this Sunday, 1 p.m. game away. They'll be back on the road, but no doubt Lions fans will be coming over in bus loads to take on the Ravens. We'll be back here at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Then again, the following Tuesday at 7 a.m. to recap the game. But that is all we have for you for this Lions versus Bucks win. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me, as always, Matt Broder and Terry Foster. Have a great rest of your day. Stick around for the Morning Woodward Show here at 8 a.m. Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.